coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. Goodness gracious me, I missed you guys. I haven't done one of these kind of videos in a little while because I've been working on a project for a while, a big video that I just released yesterday on referees. Please go check that out if you haven't already. Spent a lot of time on it, but I wanted to get back to this kind of format because ESPN has been running amok over the past couple days because of their top 100 athletes of this century list. Now, before I get into my issues with the list, or not even just with the list, but with how the list was created, I want to give you guys some backstory on how the summer works for sports media, which is the summer is basically the deadest point of the entire calendar. We have some golf going on, we have some tennis going on. The World Poker Tour is running wild. But other than that, we're in the off season. And when it comes to the off season, obviously these big sports channels, the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, they don't just shut down their programming. They have 12 hours of time to fill every single day. So sometimes they need to manufacture content to create discussion when there isn't much actual authentic content available. So what ESPN does, and this might be looked at as a conspiracy theory, but I think it's just a lucid guy looking at the situation. ESPN makes these lists bad on purpose so that the discussion around it can be so controversial and so differing from different opinions that the conversation becomes greater and greater, and there's something for, First Take and Pardon the Interruption and all of these shows to talk about on their network, because all of their different personalities are going to have huge disagreements on different placements on this list. So ESPN with these lists isn't trying to make the most accurate or the most analytically correct list they possibly can. They're trying to make the most polarizing list they can. And there's nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, when you're trying to make a polarizing list and not an accurate one, there are casualties. And one of which, listen, I have to talk about Connor McDavid at 98. When they did this in 2000, Wayne Gretzky was number 4. So I don't want to hear the whole hockey isn't valued at ESPN argument, because they've done it before. Sidney Crosby is number 22 on this list. Connor McDavid has dominated his sport, been the undisputed best player in the world, led a destitute franchise to a Stanley Cup final, won 4 MVPs, a quadrillion scoring titles, and is all around looked at as the best hockey player we've ever seen in terms of skill and just eye test of what he can do on the ice. When you have Patrick Mahomes at number 18 on this list and Connor McDavid at 98, I really don't see that big of a difference between those two guys' careers. Now, Mahomes obviously has more Super Bowl success, but McDavid doesn't have the equivalent of Andy Reid on his team, or just the aura of the Chiefs dynasty at this point. He's kind of had to do it all by himself. You could say Draisaitl is his Travis Kelce, but you're comparing apples to a refrigerator. Just because McDavid hasn't won the Stanley Cups doesn't mean that he's not on the talent level Mahomes is as an athlete this century. For me, those are two different conversations. And obviously, listen, I don't want to go too deep into this list because they're not doing this to be the most the most potent list possible. Like, you can't put Michael Phelps at number 1. The depth of talent is just too shallow in swimming. There's not that many great athletes coming up wanting to be swimmers, so I would argue it's a lot easier to dominate at that sport than it is a basketball or a football. Speaking of basketball, putting Kobe at 10 over guys like Ronaldo, Jokovic, I would put Pat Mahomes above him, like, just a little too high for Kobe Bryant. Totally understand, but 10 is just ridiculous. They put Kevin Garnett over Floyd Mayweather? Enough said. Steve Nash over Derek Jeter. Like, there are just so many head scratching, mind boggling decisions made on this list where you cannot come to the conclusion of anything but this is a discussion list, not a list. So if you want a list of the real best athletes of the century, you have come to the right place because I'm about to give it to you. Now, this has no backdrop. This has no other motives. This is just straight up what I think, who I think are the 10 best athletes from 2000 to right now. So at number 10, obviously, is Cristiano Ronaldo. How he didn't make the top 10 is straight up mind boggling to me. 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, 5-time Champions League winner, 3-time Premier League winner, 2-time La Liga winner, record for most international goals scored. He has also led Portugal to the most success they have had in over 30 years on the football pitch. Number 9 is Floyd Mayweather. I don't particularly love Floyd Mayweather. I think he ducks some fights. I think he fights scared sometimes. I think he fights defensive. I don't find his boxing matches particularly entertaining. But he's 50-0 in the boxing ring. And that has to account for something, being never defeated at your sport, in a sport that does have a large talent pool. Not so much nowadays, but Floyd Mayweather, obviously one of the top 10 athletes of the century, number 9. At number 8, I have Novak Djokovic. I put him slightly over Roger Federer for tennis players this century. 24 Grand Slam titles. It's the most record, 422 weeks as the number 1 player in the world. 375 Grand Slam match wins. Men's single title wins, he has 98 of them, 1,110 wins in the Open era. The guy is the most dominant tennis player of this era. Federer did it for longer, and he's a lot more beloved, so I can understand why most would probably have him above Joker. But in terms of just dominant success, it's hard not to have Djokovic on this list at number 8. Number 7, I have Usain Bolt, 8-time Olympic gold medalist, 100-meter world record holder, only sprinter to win 100-meter and 200-meter titles at 3 consecutive Olympics. Also, there isn't many things cooler on planet Earth to call yourself than the fastest man who's ever lived, and he has an undisputed claim to that title. I put Bolt at number 7. Number 6, I have Tiger Woods. Even though he doesn't play a sport, I still have him on the top 10 greatest athletes list. Made 142 straight cuts. He was more likely to win an event than finish 9th or worse from 2000 to 2009. 15 majors, 97 to 09 in majors. He was a combined minus 143 in major tournaments. The next closest was 99 over. Phil Mickelson was the only guy within 150 shots of Tiger in majors during that span. Most dominant, greatest golfer we've ever seen. Tiger at number 6, just slightly behind Serena Williams, who had just the same amount of dominance in her sport, but did it for longer than Tiger did. 23-time major champion. That's the second most by a player all time, just behind Joker. Women's record, 365 major match wins. 73 career titles, one of the greatest female athletes of all time, one of the greatest athletes of the century, put women's tennis on the map the way it never had been, along with her sister. Number 4, Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time NFL MVP, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, NFL record for most career passing yards and touchdowns, 3-time first team All-Pro. And pretty much everyone looks at him unanimously as the greatest quarterback of all time, which is the most important position in the most popular sport in North America. No one quite did it like Tom Brady. It felt like every time you bet against him, he would somehow find a way to just flip the game on its head and create a miracle. Tom Brady at number 4. Number 3, I have Michael Phelps, which I think is an accurate position for the greatest Olympian of all time. However, as I previously stated, I don't feel like he faced the same type of competition pool that the other athletes on this list have. Still, he's a record 28-time Olympic gold medalist, 28 Olympic medals, 23-time gold medalist, most gold medals at a single Olympics when he won 8 of them in 2008. Nothing compares to Michael Phelps as an Olympian. Nothing but the highest of respects. He just shouldn't be number 1. Number 2 is LeBron James. It was a coin toss between him and this other guy for number 1, but LeBron ends up at number 2. He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer. He's a 20-time All-Star, 19-time All-NBA selection. Basically the most ridiculous basketball career you could possibly imagine he has. He's led 3 different franchises to NBA titles. He has flipped the Lakers franchise on their heads and kept them relevant when they try so desperately not to be. He has been the lifeline of the NBA, carrying the league on his back since he entered in 2003, and the league, I guarantee, will lose immense popularity the second he decides to hang up his gorgeous sneakers. LeBron James, my favorite athlete, at number 2, because I couldn't put him ahead as much as I wanted to. I couldn't put him ahead of Lionel Messi. 4-time Champions League winner, 6-time Champions League top scorer, World Cup winner, 2-time Copa America winner, 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, record goal scorer for Barcelona and Argentina, and what he was able to do at that World Cup, where he rose above France, Mbappe, Portugal with Ronaldo, every single piece of competition that we thought had either passed him by or was going to pass him by. For him to rise above that, prove once and for all that there is no one like him in professional soccer history, prove that he is the greatest of all time in the greatest sport of all time. There's really not much more you can do in a century than Lionel Messi has done in the 2000s. So I had to put him at number 1. Please let me know in the comments below. Do you guys agree with this list? What do you guys think of the ESPN list? Do I have it right on the nose with what their actual intentions are for that list? Please let me know in the comments. I love reading and responding to comments. I'm small enough as to where I can do so, so please let me know. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Please subscribe if you haven't already. The Spit Sports Show just hit over 350 subscribers. Big things happening on the channel. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.